Okay, welcome back to the Racing Post Football Postcast. We're looking ahead to Saturday's two live Premier League matches. We're going to start at 12:30. It's Stoke versus Leicester. I tell you what, some tricky old Premier League games on Saturday. I remember when Harry Redknapp used to do the column in the Racing Post. It was the greatest value ever. He was, a mega-style manager, and he honestly, you cannot believe how little he used to charge us for it, and we've loved Harry evermore. But whenever you rang him up to do the column, he'd always say, God, they're a trappy set of fixtures this week. They really are. But this week, they are ultra trappy, and this one's about as tough as they get. Stoke City versus Leicester. Kick-off 12:30. Paddy Power bet 6-4 Stoke, 23-10 the draw, and 15-8 Leicester City. So, Henry Hardwick, it's a puzzle. Can you solve it?
Yeah, as you say, pretty tricky. I think the way to go is maybe Leicester draw no bet, keep the draw on your side, you get your money back. Leicester quite unlucky against West Brom, and since then they've beaten Swansea, they've beaten Leeds, they've beaten Everton. Whether that's to do with the change of manager or not, it might just happen anyway. But regardless, they seem to have gone back to the attacking, pacey, counter-attacking side that they were. Gray's come into the side, done really well. Vardy looks sharp. Stoke, they've not had a great season. They were quite quiet in the transfer window in the summer. And I think Leicester draw no bet's the way to go.
Stoke are brutally difficult to predict here, Mark, aren't they? I mean, every single... I've fundamentally thought, I want to be against them, they look regressive, but they just keep popping up with results, don't they?
They get a result when it just feels like they're on the verge of, heading into a crisis. And actually, before the game when they won at Watford, Hughes had a pop at the supporters that didn't go down very well. And it was one of those where he sort of said, we're in a crisis, we've lost our last two games. And they were really unhappy because they feel like this has been a downward trend for quite some time. Had he lost to Watford, that would have been thrown back in his face. Of course, they scored early and then sort of hung on.
Yeah, 3 shots in that game, 29% possession, so what's it like?
Yeah, so I'd like Leicester draw no bet. They're 11-10 here. I mean, you look at the games that Leicester have lost this season. Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, and Chelsea. So they lost the games you kind of expected them to. Maybe haven't won as many as they would have hoped. I think But under Puel, they did look like a Ranieri team. It was very strong defensively. I think Gray does add a lot to that team as well. I couldn't believe that he wasn't playing. I mean, I would quite like him at Tottenham. I think he's good enough for sort of definitely top 4, top 6 team. Him, Mahrez, Vardy on the counter attack against what's not the quickest Stoke back line. I think the way to play this one. And just on Harry Redknapp, he used to always say trappy fixture, then he'd tip Arsenal. That used to be, he used to tip Arsenal every single week, and it was the right thing to do back then as well, because they did win most weeks.
Absolutely. Okay, the other live game is at 5:30. It's at the London Stadium, and it's West Ham versus Liverpool. Paddy Power make West Ham 4-1 shots. If you want to back the draw, that's 3-1, and Liverpool are 8-13. Mark, you can go first here. Liverpool, solid favs?
I think they probably will win. I mean, they picked up another couple of injuries in that victory over Maribor, so maybe I'd swerve the short odds now. I was looking Paddy Power do time of first goal, and it's over under 24 minutes, which may seem quite low, but actually away from home, the latest that we've seen a first goal in a Liverpool match this season is 29 minutes, and it's beaten it in all bar one of the games. I mean, obviously you've got the fact that they're excellent going forward playing for you, but they're also not the best defensively. There's big problems at West Ham at the moment. I mean, I think that's clear for everybody to see. Bilic, a bit like Hughes, just seems to win a game every now and again, just when it feels like the pressure is starting to build. But I mean, defensively, that they're no good. 8 goals conceded in their last 4 matches. I think Liverpool probably will win. If they had their strongest 11 out, I'd be more inclined to back them at sort of the price they are, about, was it 4-6 or something? 8-13 now.
So what's the bet then, Mark?
I'm going to go for under on the time of the first goal, which is 24 minutes at the moment. So a goal in the first 23 minutes.
Just remind me how that settled, because I've done these a couple of times, and you're sitting there looking at the game clock and the ball's out and you're desperate for a goal. What does the game clock need to say for that bet to be cop?
Once it gets to 24 minutes, your bet's a loser in that sense. Obviously, if you back over that time, you need then a goal to actually happen, which is a strange one when you're cheering on nothing to happen, and then suddenly you do need something to happen. And maybe in those situations, you should maybe have a little cover shot on the 0-0 as well. But on this occasion, I'm going under. I mean, I don't think anybody would be going sort of a 0-0 in Liverpool matches really this season.
That's reminiscent of when I wanted to take on Chelsea when they're at home to Sunderland, so I backed both teams to score, and Sunderland won 1-0. Henry, West Ham v Liverpool.
Yeah, I think obviously Liverpool are most likely winners, but they're just too short of 8-13 for me. West Ham not the ideal to decide to take them on with, but I'm going to go West Ham draw, double chance, 11-10 Paddy Power. I think Liverpool, as I said, short enough without Mane and Lallana, possibly without Coutinho and Lovren as well. They've only won 3 away games this season. 2 of those are in the Europa League. And like Bilic needs a result really. West Ham, they've spent enough money to be doing better than they are. I don't really rate him as a manager, and he is under massive pressure. But like Mark said, they do have a habit of just pulling out results when they need them, and just literally just the price thing is, I think Liverpool are too short.
Let's rattle through the other 1, 2, 3, 4 Premier League games that are kicking off at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Like I say, they're all pretty testing. Huddersfield 17-10, the draw 2-1, West Brom 15-8. In other words, this is pretty much as close as it gets. Who's going to win this, Mark?
I think no goal scorer is the way to go in that one. I mean, Huddersfield had the 0-0 against Southampton. I think West Brom will play for they'll look to take a point, and then if they can improve on that, they will. So no goal scorer, I think, is the way to go, because Huddersfield may be slightly frustrated in the fact they won't be able to counter-attack against a Pulis team that won't attack in the first place.
They're not silly, these bookmakers. Only 5-1 the 0-0 there. What do you reckon, Hen?
Yeah, draw or no goal scorer, under 2.5, whatever you want to go with there. I think, like Mark said, West Brom will set up to try and get a point, basically. And they're not that far clear of relegation, especially with teams like Huddersfield and Burnley and Newcastle and Brighton all performing pretty well. They are not that far clear. So I can see them just setting up for a point, and any sort of those markets you want to play, it looks the way to go to me.
Newcastle are 10-11 to win at home to Bournemouth. It's 5-2 the draw, and the Cherries are 3-1. You go first, Henry.
Yeah, definitely Bournemouth 3-1 here. I think that's probably one of my best bets on the Saturday. Newcastle got an excellent manager in Rafa Benitez, but it's a different dynamic if they're even money at home to when they're 7-2, 9-2 at Spurs or Chelsea. I mean, the onus is going to be on them to attack. And I don't really see them having the attacking creativity to be able to do that. They were pretty toothless against Burnley on Monday night. And Bournemouth, although they had a slow start, they've started to pick up. And I think they're finding their feet. They've lost by 1 goal 5 times this season. So, perhaps the luck and the results haven't quite been going their way. But a 3-1, I think Bournemouth are a really good price here.
What do you reckon, Mark?
Yeah, I'd rather back Bournemouth. Newcastle are a team I think that are vulnerable at short prices because they haven't got that many goal threats. And Bournemouth, they won a similar type game at Stoke only a couple of weeks ago.
Southampton versus Burnley next. Southampton 8-13, Burnley 5-1. The draw 13-5. Mark Langdon.
I'd probably go the draw here. I mean, I thought Southampton were depressing against Brighton. I mean, they started okay, and once they scored, they didn't want to attack for the rest of the game. And you're thinking, you're better than Brighton. Like, why don't you play? They've got good attacking players. I mean, I think the manager's really holding them back at the moment. I mean, they moaned about Puel being a defensive coach. I mean, the one they've got now is even worse. And I think Burnley, the perfect kind of team to set up and frustrate. As we speak, Sean Dyche is still the manager. As long as nothing happens between now and then, I think they'll be able to get a point. I mean, they're doing so well at the moment, overperforming to what they've got quality-wise, but I can see them doing it again.
Who do you like, H?
Burnley draw, double chance. Like Mark said, Burnley, I think they played really well on Monday night. Perhaps they don't quite get the credit. They went forward really well and they created a lot of chances against Newcastle, really. And like Southampton, it is a really strange one. They've got good attacking players. They've got a great stadium, great club, but then they played the most dire football we've ever seen, like in the Premier League. So yeah, that would be my way going. The only slight concern is the Dyche situation. Whether if he goes to Everton or his big speculation, maybe hold back. But yeah, if he's still there, great manager, and I think they can get a result.
Okay, the other 3 o'clock game is Swansea versus Brighton. Now, the one thing I do know about this, there will be lots and lots of passes. Wouldn't be surprised if there's 1,000 passes here because they really do tap it about, these two. It's 13-10 Swansea, 21-10 the draw, 23-10 Brighton and Hove Albion. What do you think will happen here, Henry Hardwick?
I think it probably be a narrow Brighton win. Well, I backed Brighton on a handicap at the start of the season, so I hope they can keep picking up points. Yeah, I just like everything about Brighton, really. The way they set up, the manager gets them well drilled, very good defensively. They try and play out the pack. They play the right way. Like you said, it's going to be pass fest. And I just think they again with Swansea, the onus to attack. But when you haven't really got that many attacking threats, they're very reliant on Tammy Abraham. It's difficult for them to want to support teams at short prices when they struggle to break teams down. So yeah, I can see maybe Brighton nicking it 1-0 or something.
You got a strong view here, Mark?
Not a strong view. I was just looking maybe at Tammy Abraham to score first. I mean, Henry there was talking about the lack of goal threats in that Swansea team. He's the one that stands out by a long way. Swansea did win a similar game against Huddersfield, recently, but they are a team that outside of Abraham, I don't see that many goal threats. Brighton, I thought they did okay against Southampton, but they didn't start very well. They conceded the early goal, and I wouldn't be surprised if this finished 1-1 or something like that, but I'll go for Tammy Abraham to score first. I think he's the best player on the pitch.
Okay, we've got no sound effects, so we've got no one singing This Will Not Be Beaten. So, Henry, would you do the honours? Do you fancy it?
I don't know if I'll be able to do Steve's high-pitched but
Right,
give it
go on then.
This will not be beaten.
Mark?
This will not be beaten.
It's Christmas. We ain't going to be on X Factor.
I'm going to say...
I don't know.
Hang on. This will not be beaten. I win, don't I? I win that, don't I? I'm the Alistair Cook of the podcast. Right, what's the nap then, Mark?
My nap's in the Bundesliga this weekend. Borussia Mönchengladbach 4-6 to beat Mainz. Gladbach have won 4 of their last 5. Mainz look like a team who could be relegated this season. Scored once away from home in 4 matches. I always try and steer clear of the FA Cup, so I've headed abroad this weekend for the best bet.
Henry?
Bolton at home to Norwich. Bolton had a slow start to life in the Championship, but they were missing both of their best players, Sammy Omobi and Josh Feder, at the start of the season. Since they've come back, they've beaten Sheffield Wednesday. They've drawn against QPR, Fulham, Sunderland, all games they should have won, really. And I think they look a good price. I think they're 13-5. Paddy Power.
Guess what I was going to nap?
Oh, you go
Norwich to beat. I'm just not going to have one. Right, we'll be back with Sunday's games in just a moment.